Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are live here for another edition of the Global Leaders Roundtable. And let me tell you, we've been having some great conversations over these past few months. Uh, God is so good for entrusting me with this moment just to be able to sit and talk with so many different people. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around all that he is allowing me to be able to do as I sit and talk with individuals just literally from all over the world. And so, as you guys are coming in, I want to welcome you to another edition of this platform that God created. This place is really a space and place for leaders. It's a place where leaders come together and they sharpen their vision and they build influence and they lead with impact. And we do that through communication. We do that through the discussions that we host and that we hold right here at the virtual roundtable. For those of you who don't know me, I am your host, Kenyon Dudley, and today I am super thrilled to welcome back a repeat guest. She was actually on with me for our fireside chat, and let me tell you, it is no secret that God is using her, and so I wanted to have her back because she introduced a method to us that I really thought it should get out to as many people as possible. So if you're watching here on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for being here. I want you to stick around for the conversation. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we've got so much content that's already there for you to consume and much more to come. If you are over there on LinkedIn, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching in. Those on Facebook, thank you so much. And if you're going to catch this by replay on Spotify, thank you for being there as well and giving us your listening ears and your viewership. It really, really does matter. Hey, go ahead and share this out. Let the people know that we are live and we are here so that they could be a part of this great conversation that we're about to have. Honestly, our last episode with our guest was really, really impactful. And she showed us how to win. That's how I'll say it. She showed us how to win little by little. Now, she just said that in the green room, and I just took that from her, but it's so true. Sometimes we could try to take on a lot at one time. But there are strategies and methods that we can use to really break things down to get to the effectiveness that we're looking for. So I'm going to jump right in. Instead of doing all of our announcements, I want to go right into this conversation because last time we didn't have a lot of time, and I want to make sure that we maximize the time. So joining us today is my dear sister, Gena B. McCown. She is an incredible author, an incredible speaker, and leadership coach who helps leaders embrace change with courage, faith, and strategy. Today, we're going to be diving into the principle that has transformed organizations worldwide. And when applied with kingdom perspective, it can transform lives and leadership too. We're going to be talking about the Kaizen method. We're talking about the power of consistent incremental growth, how small faithful steps lead to big lasting transformation in leadership, business, ministry, your home, whatever it is that God has given you stewardship over. Help me welcome to the virtual roundtable my dear sister, Gena B. McCown. How are you?
Hello, hello.
So glad to have you back.
I'm excited to be back. I love talking about this. This is like my favorite thing in the world.
I know. I was thinking about how super excited I was the last time when you kind of unfolded this. And so I got excited all over again at the thought that we really was going to have this conversation. I know I told you in the virtual green room, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Gena, for being patient. We were trying to get the scheduling together and things like that, but you made it back here, and I really appreciate you for saying yes.
Well, I feel like, everything is going to happen in the time that it's meant for.
Yeah.
And so that means all of that led to today because there's somebody listening today that needed to hear this
Yeah.
that wouldn't have known about it before.
I
So,
truly
I mean,
believe it.
this is just providence and we just trust it and flow right with it.
Yeah, I truly believe that, and so I'm resting in that. Today, there are people that are watching. Thank you guys for coming in on over there on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for being here on LinkedIn as well. I see you. Um, let's jump right in. For those who may not have gotten a chance to catch the last episode, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers today? Who are you? What part of the world are you in? What does God have Gena doing right now?
So my name is Gena B. McCown. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a leadership expert. I have been doing ministry work for, goodness, nearly 30 years. I've been working in secular leadership for just as long. Although if you asked my mom when I was 2 and I said, "You're not the boss of me," I pretty much had set my leadership trajectory
Yes.
into to the path it's in. But I've always had this heart for business.
Yeah.
Even at a very, very young age, I just had this conversation with someone recently, and I said, I can remember my first business. I was in like second or third grade,
Right. Wow.
where where I like came up with a product and I was selling it. And I probably had a business, of some sort every year after that. But definitely got to a point early on in my management career where I really, really was honing into leadership development.
Right.
Um, I recognized in myself that there was this like natural leadership bend that I had, but I believe that everybody has the ability to be a good leader. And I think to be a good business owner, we have to be a good leader. And so it really just drove this passion of mine to identify leaders, develop leaders. Even today, I got a text message from somebody who just got promoted that I started helping her years ago move
Wow.
up the ranks in her company. And I was so excited for her because this is a day that has long been coming. And
Hmm.
so to be able to celebrate that with her, that is like the icing on the cake. That's the
Yeah.
thing that I look for, that I live and breathe by. Please go past me, do better than me,
Yeah.
um, because that's what I want for people. But when we look at this from like a biblical standpoint, um, we have a responsibility to lead well. To lead well might mean leading yourself,
Hmm.
and it might be leading a team or
Hmm.
leading a family or leading a church or a ministry or a business. But all of us are leading someone.
Yeah.
And the question is, where are you leading them to and how are you going to get there? And
Yeah.
we get there little by little. That's the step by step, moment by moment,
Yeah.
answered call by answered call.
Yeah.
And so God's got me always, up to my eyeballs in some things. So I'm just launched a writers guild to help support writers. I think that is a huge, huge need, especially for my area.
Hmm.
And I am on a trajectory where the Lord's taken me into a new publishing area,
Wow.
where I had been writing leadership books and I'm still working on those. But He gave me a very clear vision of devotionals.
Wow.
And He said, Gena, you're going to write enough that you are going to publish one every month for the next year. And I am on track. So that started in June. So I've got June, July, August, September. I have 4 of them that have published already.
Wow.
30-day devotionals that will take you very, very deep into certain subjects. It's called Into the Deep series, and the titles are things like Deep Trust, Deep
Hmm.
Joy. But the one that He made me come right out the gate with, because why not? Because that's how God works. Deep Forgiveness.
Woo.
Because
Big
before
one.
we yeah because before we can get anything else, if we're holding on to forgiveness, what are we told to do? Put our gifts out the side of the
Yes.
temple and
Yes.
go take care of that business. And
Yes.
so He had me start there, but I'm really excited for what's going to come from that. And the feedback I'm getting has already been just encouraging to me. And
Hmm.
that's obedience, and that is listening to God in those little moments, step by step, where He's saying, I need you to do something or be somewhere. You don't even know why yet, but He's got a purpose for it. And
Right.
so that's just a couple of the things this girl in sunny South Florida is got herself into. But I'm trusting the Lord every step of the way. And so far, he's never led me astray. So why would he do that now? So here we
Right.
go.
Why would he do it now? He's never fails, and guess what? I don't think he's going to start failing. He's
Nope.
God. He's God.
Amen.
I love how, and I remember from the last time we had you on, I might have said this to you. If not, I'm saying it now. I love your spirit. I love just you speak with such peace. You speak, and I'm being honest when I say this. Like you speak with such peace, such confidence. It's not flamboyant or boisterous, but it's just this quiet, sweet confidence and
Mm.
peace. Where does that come from, Gina? Where does that come from?
I think it comes from, I mean, I could go so far as to say, like, you know what you know.
Yeah,
There's that expertise that we have. They say, like, if you spend 1,000 hours studying something, that you're an expert in it. And I
yeah.
can tell you, when it comes to leadership, I bypassed 1,000 hours a long time ago.
I'm sure.
Um, but I also think it is that I know who I am, and I know who I am in Him, and I know what His purpose for me is. And when I'm walking in my lane and I'm doing what he's asking me to do, it's not effort. It's not effort. I don't have to prove anything because he's already been proven through me, with that he's given me the knowledge and he's given me the expertise, and all of it is for a purpose and for a time. And I
Right.
just get to see where he wants me to reveal it. So
Yeah.
I think it's that yielding. When you just completely yield, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah. How are you seeing that work right now? Let me just say it this way. How are you seeing that translate from when you were, in leadership and management at the directorial level and all of these levels
Mm.
that you had ascended to? How was it then, in those spaces to now? Has that been an evolution? Did you evolve into this place, or has it always been that way?
Oh, that question. Um, I would say it's been a roller coaster. I think that's
Okay.
fair to say.
Okay.
When I was younger, there was definitely a little more confident ego. Um,
Okay.
Maybe the boisterous was there.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I think part of that was the fact that I was constantly having to prove myself because of my age.
Mm.
Because I wasn't, not only that, I was also female. So I was a young female. I had my first salary management job. I was 21 years old,
Wow.
and I was making more money than, like my mom, and,
I get it.
things like that. Like, I was doing the thing.
Yeah.
But, I remember being 22. I was already married. I was like 9 months pregnant,
Hmm.
almost like 8.5 months pregnant with my first kid. And like, one of the customers turned and said, "Little girl." And I'm like, there's nothing little about this girl at this
Right.
point. So from customers to some of the people I worked with, I felt like it was a constant place of having to prove myself. um, Over time, though, you get that opportunity to be shaped and humbled, and I had some amazing leaders that poured into me,
Hmm.
that helped smooth some of those rough edges, that helped me realize I didn't have to prove myself all the
Hmm.
time.
Wow.
And then even so much as I'd say probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I was going through a rough patch because, I felt where I was moving, where I thought it was supposed to be, was asking so much of me. And I remember my husband saying to me, "How much more do you have to prove? You've been doing this for 25 years.
Wow.
Like how much more before you walk in the authority that you have?"
Right.
And that was a probably huge moment for me to shift in this part of my life of, what? I don't have anything to prove.
That's right.
I'm going to speak the truth. I'm going to speak from my experience. I'm going to speak from my confidence, and I'm going to be obedient to what God's asked me to do.
Mm.
And your obedience will be how you choose to receive that. And that is
Hmm.
between you and God. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Um, But I did have blips,
Of
during the
course.
years where things happened. I remember being in management and things getting out of balance, and my family saying, this isn't working for us,
Yeah, yeah,
this role, this position you're in, this company you're working for, it's just not the right fit for us. And
right.
having to really sit down and go, you know what, you're right. And I need to come up with an exit strategy from
Yeah,
there. And I even remember the very last day that I worked there, when I came home and I put my stuff down by the door, this weight that came off of me and a sense of peace that came back into me.
mm,
And I called my best friend. I hadn't even told her that I was planning on, that, like, she knew I had an exit strategy, but I hadn't even told her that that was my last day. And she said, what happened? She's like, you don't sound the same. You sound like your old self,
right.
you
Wow.
know? And so I think that all of us will have those moments where things come and try to steal our peace.
Hmm.
But when we know who we are, when we are trusting Him in those processes, it really makes those changes that come along much easier to take without panic.
Right.
And that we can embrace it and say, you know what? It's really just as simple as this. God shut that door and He's opening up a new one. And what is that new one going to be? And being able to say, okay, if I'm going to trust you in that, then I'm going to trust you with all of it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to walk forward. I'm not going to look back. I'm going to do what you tell me to do. And I'm going to have peace in that. And the amount of peace that I have found in just even the last, we'll say, 9 months,
Mm,
maybe that's because that was my goal for this year. It was like pursuing
right.
peace. I'm pursuing peace. I'm pursuing it. We don't serve a God of chaos. We
Right.
don't serve a God of disorder. So why would I live my life in chaos, and why would I live my life in disorder when I
Right.
can trust Him? So I'm leaning into that. And the more and more I lean into that, and the more and more it just makes everything about these interactions I have with people and the trainings I have with people. I'm just trusting He put me in front of the people, and that's because they're meant to receive it. And
Hmm.
I don't overthink it anymore.
I love that.
I'm just speaking from the heart.
I love that. I see so many people in this industry, and what I mean by this industry, this speaker industry, this leadership, level. I see so many people not at ease, and I was once there as well. Like just being that overachiever, having to prove something all the time. If it's not to your peers, it's to your one ups, your two ups, it's, or if it's not them, then it's those whom you serve, the clients, and all of these people. And I see so many people literally sick. I mean, sick in their bodies to this day
Yeah.
because of the stress and the strain and the constant struggling and trying to pursue something that's a KPI or that's a
Yeah.
this or that, and they have no peace.
No.
They have no joy, no real joy that comes from God, right? And so I always like to acknowledge that in people that I when I feel that and sense that, because it is a rare commodity. Many people do not have the peace and the joy, and they can't say what you just said. They can't say, I just show up, I prepare, I show up, I speak from the heart, and I let Holy Spirit, I let God do the rest.
Yeah.
But in essence, what I've found, Gina, is that the more and more you relax, prepare, do what you need to
Yeah.
do, right? For that, be excellent. But the more you relax in the the I guess journey of it all, the more he brings you into things and into places and before people
Hmm.
that you maybe desire, and then he goes well beyond what you could have ever thought or imagined,
Yeah.
right? He blows your mind. And we were just kind of talking about that just a minute ago before we went live. Like, there is a place and a stage where it's a whirlwind. When God opens up those windows and those doors to bless you, hang on, get
Yeah.
ready. But that only comes from when you have found a place of peace and you're
Yeah.
letting Him take the wheel, right?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people struggle in this because, the enemy wants to tear us down. He doesn't want us to be successful. He doesn't want us to be able to give God any credit or any glory in any of it. And so he will try to get in our heads. And I remember once having a little pity party for myself because I thought that God was taking me in a particular direction.
Right.
And I wasn't seeing the fruit from it that I thought I was going to see at that time. And so I had this little pity party, boohooing in my car, like, God, why'd you give me all this and have me here and doing these things if it wasn't going to be fruitful? And he had to my grandmother would call it thumping, but he had to thump me on the head,
Mhm.
and remind me that the very thing that I was sitting there and boo-hooing over, other people were still dreaming of, other
Mhm.
people were still praying for. And so first you got to stop and get yourself in order
Yeah.
and recognize what you've been given. But it's exactly what you said, but I couldn't see it at the time. I see it now, which
Mhm.
was he had something bigger.
Yes.
So what I thought was the destination was actually just a blip in the journey towards somewhere else he had me to go. But I had to go
Wow.
there because I had lessons to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be the end all be all. That's where I was going to sit and stay. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I started to get moved away from that, and I didn't understand the why, it was, at that point you have to release, you have to like release it and say, then, you know what, God, you're right. You've been true and faithful. Every promise you've ever kept. You've always taken care of me and my family. So whatever this shift is and this change is, I'm going to yield to it. I'm going to go with you. And it's in hindsight that we get to see what he was actually doing all along.
Yeah.
And when we can start to see those fingerprints and get a little bit of that hindsight vision, it does make it a lot easier to
Of course.
trust him. um, but we also have to look for it. We
Mm-hmm.
have to look for those signs, and they're there. God's presence, you can't mistake it if you're looking for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have to be open enough and ready enough to see it how he sees it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm here, I'm listening to you because, oh, the many nights I had my pity parties, right? Oh, the many seasons where literally it was rough. Coming to Dallas, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And God says, give away everything. Leave your position, leave your job. We were pastoring a church at the time as well. Shut that down. All of that. And he says, go to a place that I've already prepared for you. Okay, go and do what? Go. Oh, okay. And many of nights when we first got to Dallas some years ago, I mean, it was just Gena. I know you know. Like
Yeah.
it was. I was like, I made a mistake. Like what God, what's happening here? Like my life. I didn't think we were going in this direction, God. We didn't have a meeting about this. You didn't. You didn't. But now I'm standing in a place, literally, where it's blowing my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in the promised land. Your wandering days are over,
Mm.
and you sit back and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's what it was all about.
Right.
Because our vision really is people. So small.
Mm-hmm.
So small.
Yeah.
um which is why I think, like, when we look at things like the Kaizen method and things like that, like, it's actually the most comfortable for us
Yeah.
because it is those little steps. It works in small vision where you just have to trust the moment.
Mm.
You just have to trust what's happening in the moment. What does the Bible tell us? It says, don't worry about tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
The birds in the
One of the
field,
hardest scriptures.
yeah, the birds of the field, they're not worrying about their food. We like God. What is man that God cares for us? He loves us so much so he sends his son to die for us. And you think he's going to send you on a journey that is not going to be fruitful?
My God.
That that is so out of nature and out of character. So when you start feeling those doubts coming up, it's simply because you're not capable to see what he's seeing yet, because
Yeah.
he has chosen not to reveal it to you yet, not
Hmm.
because it's not there. It's just
Hmm.
not, you're not ready for it yet. Because I think if you would have told me even 2 years ago where God was going to have me now, do you know how much I can do in my flesh?
Yeah.
Like, I can do a lot in my flesh.
Yeah.
I can make a lot of things happen. I know people, I've
Of
got
course.
resources and tools. What he said though is, we're going to do this in my time. We're going to do this in my way. And so I wasn't allowed to see it because I would have run for it. I would have rushed for it.
Yeah.
And instead, he wanted me to be patient in the process.
Yeah. That's I was gonna say that used to be my struggle. And I say used to be, but literally that still is the thing that I have to submit to God. Like that rushing piece,
Yeah.
right? Wanting to, and that's why I so loved when you just unpacked the Kaizen method. I'm honestly saying to you, like, you are the first repeat guest because of what you brought. And it was such a valuable thing, even for me at my life in that stage, just a few months ago when we met and talked about it. Like, I am that one that has to constantly remind myself in prayer and throw myself at the mercy seat of the altar, if you will, and say, pace yourself,
Yeah.
slow down, little by little, do it God's way.
Yeah.
Even if God's way to you seems smaller than what you think, it's actually going to yield more,
Yeah.
right? More results and more things that you couldn't even imagine. And so, with you just saying that, like, you hit it on the nail. That's one of the things I have to remind myself. And I'm sure people who are watching in could vouch for it as well. Like, we like to rush,
Yeah.
we like to just hurry up and get to the prize, hurry up and get to the
Yep.
moment of victory or whatever it is. But you're saying there are methods, there are strategies, and I guess this is a good place where you could just kind of unpack this for our listeners and viewers now. Um, what is the Kaizen method, and how does that look? Um, Even for us kingdom leaders, how can we begin
Yeah.
to implement that in our lives?
So the basic foundation of Kaizen was created in the automotive industry, and it was all about efficiency. How do we make more product? How do we make more money? How do we do it in less time with better quality? And so the concept of it, though, is we do it in small incremental changes,
Hmm.
small incremental improvements. So it's not about going from, I make, 30 widgets in a minute to making 150 in a minute. It's, I go from making 30 widgets in a minute to making 31 in a minute to making 32 in a minute to making 33 in a minute, or however,
Right.
fast you're working. My widget making, expertise is pretty minimal. I don't know how long it takes. But that's the basic concept of it, is this
Yeah.
small incremental improvement. And so there's this system where we take an idea, we put it into motion. Okay, so we're going to take a small step, setting that small goal. I want to get to doing one more thing in an hour, or I want to cut my cost by 10%, or whatever the small little bit is. We put that into motion. We give it
Okay.
a try.
Yeah.
We see how it's working. We're going to assess that. Is it working? Is it not working? If it's not working, we want to modify it. If it
Hmm.
is working, we want to keep doing it and maybe figure out how we can make it, a little bit better.
Hmm.
And then once you've done that, you try it again. And you just keep that cycle going, so
Hmm.
that it's not about trying to conquer the world tomorrow.
Hmm.
It's about saying, what can I do for just tomorrow? What's that
Hmm.
improvement I need right then? Because if you try, this is what I have found in my experience, being somebody who can be very fleshy and do things very quickly.
Yeah.
And it, to me, parallels directly with scripture, which says you can't rush a blessing. If you rush your blessing is not going to be as great. So if I try to rush it, can I get some result? Probably. Is
Right.
it sustainable result? Nope. Why? Because I'm going to stress out my team members. I am going to burn out my managers. I am going to run out of product. I am
Mm-hmm.
going to exhaust my resources. Or when something gets thrown up into the gears, I'm in deep trouble because I went so far that I was unable to rein it back in when I needed to. And we're seeing that right now in the business world with tariffs,
Yeah.
because companies were living on a certain model. They were doing things super, super fast. These tariffs came in. Now there's all of a sudden this extra expense they weren't ready for. And now they're trying to cope with, how do I pass this on to the customer without
Mm-hmm.
losing my customers?
Mm-hmm.
How do I absorb some of this as a company and still keep my shareholders and stakeholders happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good example where if we are as companies, instead of running so quickly to the end and burning ourselves out,
Mm-hmm.
watching our company fold because we went too hard too fast,
Mm-hmm.
but we go in these small sustainable steps, then what we have is growth that builds and builds upon itself. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we do get those curveballs, we're ready for them
Yeah.
because we're not burning out our people. And then when you have that rare occasion where you have to go to your team and say, man, we got hit this curveball, you have treated them so well. You have run your company so well. You have been so well prepared. They don't mind giving you that little bit extra you need in that circumstance just
Mm-hmm.
to get through it so you guys can get back into rhythm,
Yeah.
because it really stabilizes your whole company.
Okay.
Um, but when you see a company that runs too hard too fast, what happens? They put her out.
Yeah.
It's the company that, they open up, maybe they have, 5 locations. They go on Shark Tank and the sharks give them all this money. And now they
Right.
had 75 locations next year. And what happens? The following year, the business shuts down.
Mm.
Why? Too hard, too fast, too quick. There wasn't enough time to appropriately scale up. Why do we use scaling up? Because we don't go from 0 to 60. We scale ourselves up. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that in economic times when we're seeing, the price of everything is going up, it's harder for people to buy their homes. It's harder for cars are more expensive, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
groceries are more expensive.
Correct.
You look at a company like Arizona Iced Tea, and they're like, "We're not raising our prices," and you're like, singing, the Hallelujah chorus, but like their tea is like what, like 99 cents for the can. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
they were already doing us a favor as it was. But you see, all these expenses are going up, and if you look in the Facebook groups and the social media circles where you have entrepreneurs, they're all saying the same thing. I
Yeah.
need a side hustle. I need to make this many. I need, 5 figures a month. I need 10, 10
Mm-hmm.
figures a month, and
Mm-hmm.
I need the hustle to do it. Well, if you're starting at ground zero today and you want to make 10 figures next month, I will tell you your business is not sustainable, and it'll
Yep.
die out.
Yep.
It's just the nature of the industry. So when we start looking at Kaizen and we say, whether it's for our business, whether it's our personal life, whether it's for our fun goals, if we're applying these principles in where we're doing these small incremental changes, we're checking and seeing, how well is this going? How well is this working? Do I need a pivot? And it could be a major pivot. You
Right.
could realize you were just going down the wrong track completely. God
Yep.
dropped something in your lap, and all of that was just preparatory work for this gift you were about to be given.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going
Mm-hmm.
to go skirt,
Yeah.
completely in a new direction.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep this on repeat, you're going to watch yourself scale up in a sustainable way. You're going to be more confident when you get to make those big decisions. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
get to quit my 9 to 5 job
Mm-hmm.
because you've done the work to bring yourself there consistently.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we see from Kaizen is it's not just improvement, it's consistency that we can bank on. And when you can bank on something, that's when you know you have gold. That's when you know, all right, I've got the consistency, I've banked it, I'm getting the results I want. Now let's try it again.
I
And
love
let's try it again. And let's do it one more time. And then all of a sudden you look back on it, and that little business that you started in your garage now has 8 locations, across the US, because you took the time to do it right, and to do it in a way that's responsible,
it. Mm-hmm.
and to do it in a way where you're not rushing the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You're pursuing the blessing, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
rushing the blessing. And man,
Right.
it
It's a
is
difference.
so big difference, and it's so much sweeter.
Yeah. How did you come upon Kaizen? I love how even you break it down to us. So definitely, I know you've used this time and time again with your teams and in management and leadership. When did you come across this method and how?
So that's a very unique part of the story because I've lived out Kaizen principles before I knew what Kaizen was.
Mm,
Everything that I have ever done, everything that I've ever put my hand to as a goal, has actually followed that same pattern.
pattern. Yeah.
Um, as far back as I can remember, I've worked in this I cannot say the word today.
It's good.
Methodical way. I've worked in this methodical way my entire life. It's the
Yeah.
way that my brain is naturally wired. So, of course, when I came across this as an actual practical theory, it was developed, I think, in the like 1980s. I'm going to say 88, but right in that ballpark.
Okay.
Um, when that was developed, and then when that actually got launched out into the world, of course, I naturally latched on to that myself because I was already kind of operating in that
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
But it's similar to the way that we think when we, I talk about this with math, and I know nobody here wants to go to math class tonight, um, but I promise you, you'll see what I mean in it. So when we were in elementary school, we had to do those factor trees, right? And it would be like the big number at the top, and you had
Yeah.
to break it down into the smallest, or smallest denominators. That's how I build a goal list. So if you ask me to set my goal, that's the first thing in Kaizen. We're setting the goal. What is it that we're trying to accomplish here? Is I create a factor tree. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to create that big bubble. This is the big thing I'm trying to do. I'm going to break it down into these different steps and stages. And I'm going to keep breaking it down to that smallest incremental piece. And that actually creates my to-do list. So I know what it is that I need to be doing to get all of this done.
Right.
So if you look at that, it's almost like reverse engineering, right?
Mm.
Like we're taking the big concept, we're breaking it down into those small steps. And what we know statistically when it comes to goal setting is that if you take a big goal, you're first of all, if you take a goal and you write it down, like you're already ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah.
You're in the top tier of goal setters.
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, now if you take that goal and you share it with somebody, you're even more successful. I used to be able to spit the statistics off the top of my head, but and then they said, but if you actually take those goals and you write them into actionable steps, you're even more likely to achieve your goal.
Mm.
But one step further, if you assess them and modify them, you
Mm.
are even more likely to reach your goals, like putting you into like the top 0.05% of people achieving their goals.
Yeah.
So Kaizen and goal setting are married to each other. And so when we can take that thinking and go, okay, so if I can take my goal, my dream, my business that I'm trying to start, or that new habit that maybe it's going to the gym, maybe it's
Hmm.
stopping smoking, maybe it's
Hmm.
trying to build up that vacation fund. It can be for good and fun stuff. It doesn't have to be just for your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I literally apply it to everything. Like even sometimes like cleaning my house, I will break it down to, what I need to get done.
Moment. Yeah.
But when you're making those to-do lists, you've created those small actionable steps that you're going to use for that forward momentum in that Kaizen methodology. You've got the goal, you've created the steps, you're putting them into action, you're seeing what works and what doesn't work, you're modifying what doesn't, you're running with what does, improving what does, and putting that on repeat. Let's do it again until you
Mhm.
get it to where you've got this nice, well-oiled machine. But then guess what you do? If everything's running good and it's a nice, well-oiled machine, it's time to ramp it up and scale it up. Let's do it again, but let's go a little
Mm-hmm.
bit higher. Let's reach a little bit higher. And so for me, yeah, it was always about the way that I think. But Kaizen helped me take this like natural goal setting organizational part of my head
Mm-hmm.
and then go, now how do I look at this when I am a leader of a team? How do I look at this
Mm-hmm.
when it's not just about my goal, it's about a company goal,
Right.
it's
Right.
about a team goal. And so yeah, that was probably like, I would say for me it was mid to late 90s that
Yeah.
I found out that this existed, and I read it and I was just like, oh yeah, like that's it. But it really wasn't until the last probably 5 to 7 years that
Hmm.
I actually saw the biblical principles that were threaded through this,
Yeah.
where it is that little by little we act, where we walk with wisdom. That's that
Hmm.
assessment part, is what's working, not working.
Right.
Scripture tells us there's times to shake off our sandals. Okay, so we need to modify and try something else because
Yep.
what's doing here is not working. Um, there's those small incremental moments where we talk about running our race as well. What is a race? It's one foot after another. It's a step by step,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and down to the don't rush the blessing. Don't rush the blessing, because you might still, you'll get something, but it's not going to be what God wanted for you and
Hmm.
had planned for you because you rushed to get there. It's the same mentality that we see when we talk about the parable of the talents, and who has been trusted with little, has been trustworthy with little, will be trusted with much.
Much.
All of that, it all threads in there. So when we're kingdom leaders and we're walking in this methodology, we're walking in something that is literally woven with biblical scriptural principle. And if we're walking in something that is woven in biblical and scriptural principle, how can we fail?
Yeah.
Because what does it tell us in the Proverbs? That a city without order is doomed to fail.
I love that.
And Kaizen gives us order.
Kaizen gives us order. And that's exactly what I felt the last time that you were on the show. I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait. Like, this is one of the answers to so many of our um, questions when it comes to the chaos that we were experiencing, right? In
Yep.
any part of our lives. Like, this is one of those answers. And I had to have you come and share it again and break it down again. And I was actually going to ask you, how does it align with kingdom principles? But you already went there, that this is a total biblical method, right? That someone else, just came up with and put a name on it for, however they did. But this is totally kingdom.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we know that we serve a God of order, so why would he not want us to be operating in order as well?
Yeah.
And if we're not supposed to be operating in order, why would we have scripture that talks about like the office of the overseer, and here's all the things we expect of them? And what did it say? It says he's got to have his house in order first.
Hmm.
So we can see even there where God is like, look, there, you got to get this in order before you
Yeah.
can do this next. And
Yeah.
once you're good with this and you're trustworthy with this, now we're going to take you to the next thing. That's
Hmm.
exactly how God operates. And he operates it now in his timing.
Hmm.
And so maybe that's where, we can maybe deviate away from the Kaizen methodology a little bit, which is Kaizen on its own, separate of those principles, is relying on the skill set and the will and the power of man to accomplish. Where
Hmm.
when we're doing this in a kingdom way, where we're doing this with patience and
Yeah.
trust, and we are leaning into God to order those steps and to follow his lead. And so we may not be rushing to the finish line, but we're getting there because we're running with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like in this moment, Gina, that you should speak directly to those who are watching and listening. I know that many of you guys have been listening in on this conversation, and I know that you found value in it. But just I feel a prophetic moment, even that you would just speak directly into someone's life, because someone's listening and they're saying, "Man, gosh, sounds good. It's hard though, Gina. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to take it step by step. I'm trying, and I used to be that person as well. So I feel you. I sense you. I know that that's probably what you're thinking. Jenna, can you take these last few moments and just really speak into our lives and encourage us to stay the course and whatever else God is leading you to say in this moment?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I
Yeah.
was feeling a moment myself and I
Yes.
was trying to figure out, I was like, Lord, if you want me to say this, let him open
Please.
the door for it. So I was working on my latest devotional called Deep Trust,
Yeah.
and I was talking about running the race and staying the course.
Hmm.
And as I was writing this out, it's funny when you know the Spirit's writing, because you're like, who wrote that? Who
Right.
wrote that? Right?
Right. Right.
But it was a revelation even to myself, and this is what I would leave people with today, because I think when we're looking at that scripture that says, run the race, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, you're going to cross that good, well done, good and faithful servant, right? We've always pictured that where we're running this race, we can see the finish line, and Jesus is on the other side of the
Yeah.
finish line, right? So
Hmm.
we see him as a trophy, we see him as a prize, we see
Right.
him as a destination. I want you to reframe that.
Okay.
I want you to pull Jesus away from the other side of the finish line. I want you to put him right in front of you, like he is running backwards. So he's looking you right in the eyes. Keep your eyes fixed on me. One step, one more step, take one more step. You got it. One more step, one more step, one more lap, one more. You're not going to fall. I'm right here. He's maybe got his hand under your elbow. He's holding you up. He is the living water that is pouring into you. One more step, one more step. Keep going. You're not going to fail. One more step. You don't even know you have crossed the finish line until he full stops and embraces you and says, well done, good and faithful servant. He is not at the other side. He is not a trophy. He's not the destination. He is the person right there running with us who's saying, keep your eyes fixed on me. Don't worry about what's going on here. And don't worry about what's going on here or behind me or behind you. Just keep your eyes fixed on me. One more step.
Mm. I knew there was a word. I, it. Wait. Let's just take that in, guys. Let's just take that in because that's powerful. Reframing how you see Jesus. And I must admit, a lot of times I have just seen him across that finish line. And you're like, okay, if I could just run hard enough or fast enough or whatever to get there. But gosh, it seems so hard. And sometimes it seems like the days are so long. And sometimes.
Yep.
But the way that you just helped us reframe and to see him here, mm, coaching us, rooting us on, saying one step at a time. That's what somebody needs to hear tonight. That's what somebody needs to hear today if you're watching from overseas right now. Like one step at a time. He's right there. He's a very present help
Yes.
in the time of trouble, but even when there isn't any trouble, his presence is always with you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Thank you, Lord, for even this moment for someone who's watching in right now or who's listening or who will catch the replay and they need to hear that word like
Yeah.
slow down. It is well. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. And I'm right here with you all the way. Like I can remember 2020. We all know where we were. Like the whole world was just in.
Oh, it was a time. It
It
was.
was a time. It was a time. That's what I'll tell our grandkids and everybody when they come up. Like, baby, it was a time.
It was a
2020.
time.
But you know, I can remember around 2020, and I don't know if you may have felt this way or others who are watching in, but literally 2020 gave me anxiety at a level that I had never had before because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening. I trust you, Lord, of course, but right in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, so is this the end?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is this the end? And I need to hurry. I don't know if anyone else felt that, but like I felt like, okay, I need to hurry up.
Mm.
I need to hurry up and get things done. hurry up and accomplish that thing that's on the wall. I have a prayer wall. I don't know if I said that the last time we were on, but I have a whole prayer wall where it's just all the vision that God gave me and my family. We can walk into my prayer room and we could look at what He said right out. And I'm like, I got to get to this stuff. Like, I don't know if we're going to be here, if we're going to have the chance. And somebody may be feeling that same thing.
Yeah. I think 2020 really was a defining moment for so many of us, because I think we had those people who were like, I got to hurry.
Yeah.
I got to get this stuff done. I need to work. Then we had people who were living in a moment where they were watching their dreams unfold, their prayers were being answered, God was giving them something, and COVID snatched it away. Just snatched it away. People who were like, my book was supposed to release on, on April 1st, or, and COVID was like, April Fools, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We had people who, there was a local story of this young girl who had taken her college savings and decided to open up a business only for COVID to shut it down. And there was no recouping that money. And you know what I mean? And so like we watched people who were dealing with that. We were watching people trying to navigate an unknown,
Yes.
like a total unknown, like a global unknown. And then when we came out of it, we were all changed. Everyone was changed.
Everybody.
And I knew, like, for me, I was like, I remember how busy my calendar was. And I remember saying, like, I don't want my calendar to go back to being that crazy busy. But I also, don't think, Lord, that you brought me here with these things for this just to die, and to just go away. And so we had that anxiety come up. I think it changed the way we see things. I think it changed the way we value things. And I think we're still coming to terms with what the outcome of that is.
It's still unfolding.
Yeah. And so when we're looking at now this future, so we're looking at this future, we're looking at these dreams, we're looking at these businesses we're starting, we're looking at where we think God's taking us. I think that all of us have this little doubt in the back of our head, but another pandemic could take that away. Another thing could stop the world and take that away. And I think that's when we have to be mindful that we do not become so wrapped up with our identity and the things that we are doing than the King that we're serving.
I love that.
And if He's saying pivot, then we pivot. It may be hard. We may have to give up some stuff we didn't want to give up.
Of course, yes.
But we're going to pivot with it, and we're going to trust that what He has for us is better. And so there was a couple months ago, I was at a revival event, and this gentleman got up to speak. He was not supposed to be like a speaker there or whatever, man, but the Lord just gave him a word. And he got up there and he said, we serve a God who can catch you up.
Ooh.
And I was just like, oh,
yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
What are we told? He will repay what the locusts have stolen.
Yes.
We serve a God that will catch you up. So when you feel like, as a business leader, whether it was COVID 2020 tripping you up, whether it's, gosh, I mean, prior to that, we had the housing crisis where people were losing their homes. We have it now where we're watching, these young people who are trying to launch. They want to launch, but they can't launch. Whatever that is, there's a season for that, but God will catch you up when it's time, in His due time. He's good at that. He's good at that. And so again, we just trust Him in the process. And until then, little by little, step by step.
My God. That's big. That's it right there. God can catch you up. And until then, little by little.
Yeah.
Step by step.
Because we don't want to ever get stuck where we're just sitting on the couch waiting for it to show up.
Yeah.
He doesn't tell us to do that. Being still and knowing that He's God doesn't mean, well, I'm going to go sit underneath my palm tree.
Right.
And I'm going to take a nap.
Right.
have some food,
It
right?
means be
Like, no,
filling your spirit, right? As you
exactly.
move. Yeah.
And there's a call to it. And I remember a woman years ago at a conference who said something to the effect of, when I think of waiting on God, she's like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think of it as sitting out on my stoop waiting for him to show up. She said, I think of it like when you're wait staff at a restaurant. Until he's ready to order, what are you doing? You're taking care of everyone else. You're filling the bottles. You're rolling the napkins. You're doing all of the work that
Mm-hmm.
needs to get done to serve him until he's ready to tell you what his order is.
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
Yes. That's powerful. Guys, I hope you are being blessed by this. I hope that this has revolutionized your mind. I know that it is for me. It really is. Um, well worth the time. This was well worth the time, Gena. Um, how can people connect with you? How can people see what you're doing and join the movement? Because you literally have a
oh
movement.
boy. Um, the easiest way to find me is just go to my website.
Yeah.
So you can see my name on there, just add a .com at the end, and that's where you'll find me. On socials, just put the at symbol before it. That's
Yeah.
where you're gonna find me.
Yeah.
I've got my hands in a few things. Between I'm still writing, I'm putting out more content. You can find those on Amazon. Um, and I've got this Writers Guild, the Treasure Coast Writers Guild. You can always follow up and see what we got our hands on in there. And in the beginning of August, we actually also launched a live talk show.
Ah, really?
Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm like sitting on my hands because it gets me all anxious talking about it. But
Yeah.
myself and two others, it's called Unfiltered Talk Live.
Okay.
And we got together a focus group of people. We said, what are the things that you wished your church leaders would talk about that they're not talking about? And they gave us a list. And we took all of those things and we cut those little slips up and we put them in a jar. And when I say unfiltered, I mean unfiltered,
Yeah.
unscripted, unprepared. We get on live, we pull out of the jar, and that is the topic we talk about. There's no preparation. We are spirit led. We are going to let the Lord talk that day through us.
Wow.
Um, as a person who is a preparer, and the idea of speaking off the cuff is in some regards somewhat terrifying if I don't know
Ooh.
what the subject is. We are 100% yielding to the spirit in this, that he's going to bring the conversations to the people that need to hear it, but we're
Mm.
willing to talk about the uncomfortable things that tend to get glossed over because
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to ruffle feathers, or
Mm-hmm.
because this isn't the place for that. Well, there's got to be a place for it.
That got to be a
um,
time.
and there's got to be a time. And so it's been a journey because unfiltered, unprepared, and live, you better believe we've had every technical hiccup you could have.
Oh my.
But at the end of the day, though, the feedback we're starting to get from that has been great for our local community, and we're filming them live from local cafes and Christian businesses in our area. So
That.
yeah, because we want to support, our brothers and sisters
Yes.
who are living in this community, who are trying to reach their dreams and their goals. And so we go to their locations and we do the show from there. And it's been, that's been fun
Yeah.
to see what's happening in our community. So, yeah, so
That's
I'm always
powerful.
doing something. I'm always into something.
I
Yeah.
love that though. You didn't you kept that one from me, but I love it. I need to know more about it. I want to support, want to connect, and all of that. I didn't know you were doing that. That's a powerful, impactful thing.
Yeah.
You do. I'm the media guy, so I'm all for when you say live TV. I'm like, what television? What?
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that. So people have to go and watch. Now, where can they go and watch this?
So it's Facebook Live.
Okay, so it's Facebook Live.
Yep. So if you
Facebook
just
Live.
find Unfiltered Talk Live
Okay.
on Facebook every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time,
Wow.
we show up there and figure out what God has in store for us for that day.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, I kind of, when I get my business hat on and we're talking about that stuff, I tend to forget some of the other little things that I've got going on. But I'm just really excited with what God's doing in our community
Yeah.
right now. And I
Yeah.
think that between the guild, between the talk show, between all that, like we're providing a need for our community.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, anybody who wants to, chime in from wherever else is welcome to. And eventually we're going to get them put onto like YouTube and some podcast channels and
Nice.
stuff. But one step at a time, little by little.
Little by little, little by little, and it's going to make great impact. I already know that. Guys, this is amazing. This has been a great conversation. As always, you guys have just stayed with us for the show. Thank you guys who stayed to the end. I appreciate you, Gena. I really do. I think I've made a friend in you. I've let my wife know about just the things that you have taught and things of that nature. She watched our last episode and was so thrilled that you were coming back. So I've got to get an opportunity to introduce you to her as well.
Well, absolutely. I would love to. And I actually Facebook stalked her. So,
Okay.
you had posted something and I was like, oh, so I got the first name.
Yes.
And of course, there you go.
Yes.
But
Yes.
no, I would be thrilled to have that opportunity to connect with her. But thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
You can tell I love talking about this stuff.
Mhm.
But I really deeply have a passion for helping people in leadership and in business make those dreams come true. And when we're working together in community like this,
Mhm.
we all get to move
I agree.
forward. Every one of us.
I
So
do. I
thank you.
agree.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there will be more. God's gonna lead us. We'll find ways.
We got
Um,
the summit.
yes, we've got the summit coming up. Thank you. We've got the virtual summit coming up, guys. September 20th through the 21st. Oh gosh, over 65 kingdom speakers from around the world. And Gena is one of our speakers, guys. So you do not want to miss this. We're gonna have some roundtable discussions as well. I mean, God's doing so much. Make sure that you go and you get your ticket today if you do not already have it for the summit. It's totally virtual, totally online. And then we've got so many other things coming up as well. So stay tuned to all of my pages. Stay tuned to Gena's pages as well. You're going to see us doing a lot more together as well. That's down in the pipeline. But when it gets close, we will share it on our pages so that you can be blessed by it and receive value and impact in a positive way. Gena, last word from you. If you were in a room of 100,000 people, an arena, and they said the speaker is not going to make it, there's Gena B. McCown, get her to the stage. What is God telling you to leave us with right there in that room?
I would say thank you for having me. I would say this. I would say there is a leader inside every one of us. And we know that because the Great Commission tells us that. To go forth. That message wasn't for some of us. That message was for all of us. So please embrace the leader inside of you. Lead yourself well. Lead your family well. And go forth. Because that is what we've been called to do. And that is the greatest job we'll ever get to have.
Yeah, man. You guys heard it right here from my dear friend, Gena B. McCown. Make sure you guys follow her information. I'll put it over there in the chat space as well so that you guys can click on her link, go to her website, see all the things she's doing, connect with her, connect with her, connect with her. She's one of the good ones, guys. Seriously, she's one of the good ones. Gena, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. Hey, guys, until next time, we will be back. I have a lot of other fireside chats coming up. I've got more lives on Sunday nights coming up. Make sure that you check my pages for all of that information and stay connected. Stay connected. Together in community, we can get some things done for the kingdom.
Amen.
All right. I'm Kenyon Dudley, your host of the Global Leaders Roundtable. See you soon.